No.
He wants this.
Yes.
Meeting of the Lawrence Township Council now come to order. Welcome everyone. I'm glad to see so many people here. Hopefully we'll have a good conversation today. Let me get into the statement of proper notice. Adequate notice of this special meeting of the Lawrence Township Council being held on Monday, June 8th, 2026 was forwarded to the Trentonian, the Princeton Packet, and the Township website on May 29th, 2026 by the Municipal Clerk. Someone may we have the inspiration and pledge of allegiance, please.
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties and continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Farmer?
Here.
Ms. Julia?
Here.
Mr. Knappy?
Here.
Ms. Santos?
Here.
And Mayor Bobbin?
Here. Welcome everyone. The purpose of this meeting tonight, it's been a little confused by some, but the purpose of this meeting is really to hear from the public again one more time before we finalize the RFP. As many of us are well aware, the community center, it was back in August of 2024 when the manager put out an idea that it was going to become a recreation center. And we heard the community responded to that. We heard you loud and clear, and then Councilwoman Farmer, then Mayor Farmer, put together a task force. That started in December 2024. We had a community conversation in May of 2025, and the report was given to us in September of 2025. And so since then, we've been sort of went through reorg, we've done the budget, we've done a few other things, and now we're really focused on this RFP, and we really want to get it right. Very nice. So let me read a little statement, just to also set the tone for what this is about. Tonight's special meeting has two primary purposes: to provide members of the public with the final opportunity to share their views regarding the future use of the facility, and to allow the 5 members of Township Council to discuss in public their perspectives regarding the facility's future use and the essential elements that should be incorporated into the request for proposals, RFP, that is expected to be finalized and considered for adoption at an upcoming regular council meeting. The RFP document itself remains in draft form and has been distributed only to the elected officials and for their review and comment. This draft is not being distributed for public review or revision at this time to maintain the integrity of the public procurement process and ensure compliance with applicable New Jersey public contracting and bidding principles. Because the township intends to solicit proposals through a fair and open process, it is important that terms and conditions of the RFP not be shaped through the participation of individuals or organizations that may ultimately submit proposals, seek to partner with the proposer, or otherwise have an interest in the use of the facility. Allowing prospective users of the facility or their representatives and supporters to participate in drafting or influencing the specific terms of the RFP could create the appearance of favoritism, providing certain parties with an unfair advantage and expose the township to challenges regarding the fairness and legality of the procurement process. Accordingly, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to receive public input on the facility's overall use and to allow the governing body to discuss publicly the policy considerations that will guide the final preparation of the RFP. The drafting and finalization of the procurement document itself will remain the responsibility of the township and its professional staff and advisors. The RFP will be made available to the public in the agenda for an upcoming regularly scheduled council meeting on which it will be voted. And so with that, I trust you all play nicely tonight. So Mr. Sypek.
I just want to add that, to make it clear that there'll be no voting, there'll be no decisions made tonight. This is a chance and opportunity for the residents, the citizens, to express whatever thoughts they have as to what should or shouldn't be included in the RFP. The RFP is not completed. It's a working document, and this is a special meeting that will not, at which no formal action will be taken.
Thank you, Mr. Sypek. I will include two things about public comment. Section 1022, manner of addressing council. This is from our township code. A person may address the council upon recognition by the chair. A person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, give their name and address in an audible tone of voice for the record, and shall have the right to address the council without limitation. Well, I think, were we going to say 5 minutes for today?
Well, that's what we normally allow.
So 5 minutes. Let me start up. The purpose of public comment period is for members of the public to inform the governing body of their views. This time is an opportunity for Township Council to listen with care to the public and consider what we hear in our deliberations. It's not a time for back and forth dialogue, as it can be difficult for us to get accurate responses on critical and complex issues on the spot. Rather, one can call or email members, council manager, the clerk, seeking additional information for response to an issue. Then 1022, person may address the council upon recognition by chair. Person addressing the council shall write down their name and address in the sign-in sheet, step up to the microphone, give their name in an audible tone of voice for the record, shall have the right to address the council for 5 minutes tonight. No person having the floor shall be permitted to enter in any discussion either directly or through a member of council without the permission of the chair. No question shall be asked of council person except through the chair. And decorum at meetings, any person making impertinent or slanderous remarks or if you shall become boisterous while addressing the council shall forthwith be barred from further audience before council by the presiding officer unless permission to continue or again address the council shall be granted by majority of council. All right, so with that, who wants to come up first? Mr. Marie, welcome.
I'm not welcome.
It's fine. Sir, I am happy to see you.
I really think, my name's Fred Vereen, Jr., 26 Fred Vereen Jr. Road, Lawrence Township, New Jersey. I signed in already. And since this is a special meeting, I think the 5 minutes should be waived because I don't intend to go over 5 minutes. But I really think that since this is a special meeting, that if someone goes over 5 minutes, I think they should be able to do that. This is not the first time that the community center has sat idle. The first time let me get my glasses on. Gentlemen, I really don't get, ladies, I really don't get irritated, but I'm irritated tonight. Simply because, every time black folks fight for something in this township, and we're successful at it, everything that we've done has been successful, not only for families, but for Lawrence Township as a whole. And you look at the things that we've done in Eggers Crossing, that black community. Look at the things we've done with the cooperation of other people throughout the town. Not only have we benefited families and their children, but we have benefited Lawrence Township also. We made Lawrence Township a better place. You need to think about that. You know, it bothers me that we're still fighting for a neighborhood center. We're still fighting for it. And we're the ones who made it. This is not the first time the community center has sat idle. The first time it was settled because the council, administration, and the community was on the same page. They wanted it to happen. And through the years, the factual evidence of the positive changes it has made on the life and families and their children, the community of Eggers Crossing, and the community of Lawrence Township. What was that little bit of history I want to share with you? During the construction of the neighborhood center, what it was called then, in the early 1970s, the contractor had gotten the cinder blocks up to the second floor level and then stopped work. We were later notified that he had filed for bankruptcy. The center sat idle, as the present center has for the past 2 years, for many months, with weeds growing all around it. The then manager, Barry Evans, and I traveled to the HUD office in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to discuss and explain our situation so that they would release the federal funds necessary to complete the construction of the building. The manager explained how Lawrence Township and Mercer County was working together to complete construction of the center. I give you this little bit of history because then the council administration was working for and with the community, not what's happening in today's climate. I guess if you have to live, you have to live in the right neighborhood, speak the right English language, or be of the right color before you are recognized. Now we have to have a special meeting to provide the public with the final say. How many times do you want to hear from the public? The governing body has had the task force report for almost a year. What will the next special meeting be? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Andrews, welcome.
My name is Kelly Ganges, I live at 226 Elgidge Avenue. I want to say with my 5 minutes that I am representing unofficially young folks from Lawrence Township. Last night, I attended the Gentlemen's Ball in the city of Trenton, sponsored by the Urban League. And I was very surprised to learn when I got there, there were several gentlemen and their escorts from Lawrence High School. Many of the kids you would recognize if they walked into this very room. I'm speaking for them, because I'm an old head. My youth is behind me, but my fire is right in the room. And I joined with my brother Fred Vereen in the disgust and the anger that I feel, that I have to come up here and fight with people that I've helped in many instances to elect. And to stand here and know that I have to battle with you to get you to do the right thing. Well, if it takes more good trouble, as Congressman John Lewis said, then so be it. The delay perplexes me. I just don't understand what the delay is about. Some of you know that I've been involved in government for over 46 years, 20 of it in the county of Mercer. And I understand the RFP process, and I didn't run it, but I know what it took. Doesn't take this long. Doesn't take this long. And I don't know what the problem is. There may be some differences of opinion and whatnot, but the process should be more fluid than it is. And I don't understand what the delay is about. We don't have a political battle because everybody on this board is a Democrat. So it's not that it's D's versus R's. It's not the garbage that we have going on in that despicable place called Washington, D.C. So I don't understand why we cannot come together as one and get this thing moving. And Fred Vereen's, I cannot improve on what he said. It's very clear. It's very clear. Whenever there is an issue on the table, when everything is equal, when everything seems to be on keel, the one issue that seems to always cloud public discussion is the issue of race. And people can deny it, and I cannot be convinced, but race is always on the issue. It's always an issue on the table. And it goes, and not only is it the neighborhood center, I can go back in history to the illustrious Central Park. And old time Lawrence people will know that that was not the original name of the park. Central Park was called Eggers Crossing Park.
Amen.
It was called Eggers Crossing Park. That was the name of the park. And the right-minded elected officials decided that carries a connotation that makes people feel uncomfortable. And so they changed it to Central Park. People in the audience that have been here, they know I speak the truth. I speak the truth. And if it's embarrassing, that's tough. You took the oath of office. This goes with the turf. I want to say also that this is not a, while there are emotions and while we can be animated, I wanted to be clear that this is not a matter of friendship. This is not about friendship. It's about public service. It's about elected officials being responsive to the needs of taxpayers, because none of us are getting a rebate on our property taxes. None of us. Whether our homes are paid or not, we pay our taxes, and this is the body that it has been empowered to provide the services that we need, that we demand, that we require. It's about your duty. Tuesday's election showed people in Mercer County that change can take place very quickly. Fred Vereen has told that story before. He has told that story before about how change can take place when the governing body is not responsive. So my issue is we have 5 council people that need to tell us what they think about or what is their plan, what they think about how we're going to change or how we're going to revive or whatever we're going to do with the neighborhood center. We want to know what you think.
Council, is it all right if we go over 5 minutes?
Yes.
I'm about done. So I'm about done. Because,
So, continue.
all right, well, my point is that I believe that change is good, especially when you are not, if you're not being heard, you're being heard and you're not being taken seriously. And that's the way I feel now, the latter, that we're not being taken seriously. It's been stated repeatedly, and it's not just, I'm not dropping this exclusively at the doorstep of Fred Vereen. He's not the only one saying it. It's being said by people across the county. The council needs to listen to us, and they need to act affirmatively. And I'm not directing this at the manager. We didn't elect the manager. You hired him. I'm talking about the people that we elected. You are accountable to us, and we want action, and we want it now. And we think this process is heavy laden. It's too slow. I'm not sure what's going on with behind the scenes, but this pimple needs to be popped. Thank you.
All right.
Good evening.
Welcome. Good evening.
Gretchen Boudre, 175 Johnson Avenue, Eckers Crossing. I have lived 90% of my life in Eggers Crossing, Eldridge Park, whatever. Eggers Crossing is my home. And I benefited by the center all my life. As a young adult, as a kid, as a teenager, my first job, going to camp, being led by this great group of elders who taught us more than just everyday things. They taught us how to live, how to be good people, how to be strong. That's why I'm standing here right now. Because I have grandchildren and I want them to know what it's like to be in such a community, to have somewhere to go. That was our safe place. I don't think my granddaughter, who's 9, has ever even been inside the community center. For what? So I just wanted to be heard and to say, what next? Because I was at the task force meeting like a year and a half ago. And so I'm wondering, what next? This is something we need. This is something we've been proud of for ever. I just need to say that. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tawan Austin Butler, 49 Albemarle Road, Lawrence, New Jersey. So I'm a product of Mr. Marine, the road right on Albemarle, right there adjacent to what it was once Chevrolet, now honorably Mr. Marine's Road, right? That is something I admire to have one day. Ms. Carlos Hendry ran the center when I was going there as an after-school program, also youth group and stuff like that. So I've been going through the center since preschool. They ran a preschool program. My older sister went to preschool there, and we've been in the center my entire life. As of high school, I can remember I graduated Lawrence High School in 2009. So since then, I don't remember anything going on for the youth. So we're talking 2 years idle. I think it's been a longer time that you haven't been serving us. Because I have a child who's now 14. He's never seen the center, only through Homefront. And Homefront's been doing great work in order for me to give back to my community and feel like I was giving back to my direct community in Eggers Crossing. I worked for Homefront. And I did great work there for the past, I worked there for about 5 or so years through Camp Mercer and all the other things. Talking about my first job, Camp Mercy through Miss Chantel Wood. She So that was my first job over the CIT, a counselor in training. Till this day, I work in education. That was my first experience. I just get real passionate about the youth and the OGs standing up for me, because I'm here for the ones that's coming under me, so I'm right between there. So I get super passionate, and what I think we should just strongly consider when it comes to anything, when it comes to community center, you start with the youth, just like they did. And there was so much going on for us, and it made me the person I am today, and want to continue to give back to the same community according to me. And folks looking like me, and I think more representation needs to be had in that way, and this was our space to do that, and we welcome everyone, right? Like, we shut no one away, you know what I mean? So I think that's the focus here, is to make sure that whatever we decide to do, it has to do with the youth. Like I said, I have a 14-year-old son, never seen the center, never been in one program there for him like it was for me. Right? Like, I went to youth group there. When I finally, 10th grade, I had a girlfriend, I brought her to youth group. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happened. Like, that was the space to do it. And I think there needs to be opportunities like that for us to just convene. Like, if we see there's team takeovers going on outside right now, and what are we doing to fix that problem, to make sure those aren't pouring into our own communities, right? And the only way to do that is to create programs and outlets for them. And I would say start with, literally a lot of folks do like preschool and after school program for students up to 8th grade. And you forget about the students who are 9th through 12th grade because you think they should get a job, they know better, they board after school program. But no, they need like structured and tailored activities that's guided to their career. And they don't want to learn what they can learn in middle school. We have to learn to do career exploration, college prep, trade schools, right? Stuff like that to help them. And so they're not running around your community now being a nuisance, right? So you have to set their life up for success and make it relatable. School students, it's hard to find your career just by sitting in a math class. You have to do things after school to enhance what you learned in school to make it connect to real life experiences. And I think that's, if you do anything, you must focus on the youth, and especially ages 9th grade to senior year in early college, right? Like, because those are the early career folks, and those are the folks that we're going to be voting for and putting your votes one day. So I think it would be remiss of you not to focus on someone else that could honestly be you one day, you know what I mean? And doing the right thing, just like you guys are. So I think that's just the focus. Focus on the youngins, focus on the youth, focus on people that one day want to be on your seat. And again, I'm proud of the folks that are out here, and I thank you all.
Who wants to come up next or
Follow him.
welcome, Ms. Friend?
And I will add my address afterwards. Martha Friend, 976 Lawrence Road. It's all about the youth. We heard that as a member of the task force. Every single person comments were all about the youth. You've heard that. But really, I just want to say two things. I don't really know what the agenda is, because I think most people are saying, we'd love to hear your conversation, and would there be opportunity for public comment after if we kind of break and let you have a conversation, because we heard that was part of this?
It would be up to council. The agenda right now is that there's public participation, and then council would discuss.
And then no more time to come back in. I see, okay. All right, so then I'll just say, here's my example of youth. Yesterday, it's getting dark, pulling into my driveway, and I see some teenagers. I don't know if they were high school, but could have been. And they're walking on the sidewalk, and then they head down my neighbor's driveway, and they're looking around. So I get out of my car and say, guys, are you looking at lost dog or something? One of them said, yeah, lost dog. The other one said, you don't have a lost dog. We're looking for bunnies. Are you looking for bunnies? I want to catch a bunny. Don't catch wild bunnies. Anyway, all that to say, we need a place for kids to do some more important things than catch wild bunnies. So I would love to be quiet and just hear what you have to say, quite honestly.
I'll sign afterwards. My name is William B. Holmes Sr., and I reside at 47 Altamar Avenue, Lawrence Township. I'm exasperated and I'm bothered about one thing. I cannot understand why it has taken this particular entity to determine how we're going to go about reopening that building, which was a viable entity at one time and had some dynamic programs coming out of that building. And let's not be confused that it's strictly going to be for Eggers Crossing, because that's a building that can be utilized by the entire community. So think about that. Let's get that building back to a usable facility. And also I want to mention too that at one time we had a federal credit union in that building, which I started and served as the first president. I also want to say that that building was dedicated to Douglas Dickerson, a young man that lost his life in Vietnam. I don't see any prominent sign outside that building or inside the building that designates that the building is dedicated to Douglas Dickerson. So if nothing, let's get that earmarked again and let it be known. But please don't continue to do nothing about that building, because I really want to know what the difficulty is in establishing a community facility. There are other community facilities in other townships and other cities. They didn't seem to have a difficulty in getting a building started. And here we have a building that's already existing. So come on, man, let's get this thing together so that we don't have to come back here again and ask you specifically, why is it taking so long? Because requests for proposals don't take that long. I put them together myself at one time, so let's not get bogged down in that. So come on, let's get this thing started and not let it be laying, sitting there, doing nothing.
Mr. Woolley, I know you've been going up and down the other way, so come on up now, I'll call you.
Thank you. Also, it's okay, let's connect her.
Yes, that's completely okay.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Holmes Senior. I had his child, his son is a student of mine. I've known him for many years. Son is a fine, fine student, and one of the fine young man that I still know today, and influenced very much by his father. And William Holmes Senior said something I thought was really important. It's not just for one group of people. Everybody has agreed. We know that the people who have been running the recreation department have done a fantastic job. I was a coach for the recreation department. I coached girls softball for a couple of years, and I worked with the Hamnets soccer league for years. 4th of July tournaments were a regular thing for us, so I understand the commitment that takes. This is not about community center or recreation center. This is about everybody. This is about collaboration. It's about us working together. The idea that this center was ever for one group of people is a myth. I have 2 sons, both of them played at the community center regularly while they were in school. One of them's here tonight.
Sure, I played there.
And the other one's out playing games that he learned at the community center as an adult. So this is, the task force got this from the community. The community center needs to be for everybody. We don't ever think we want to exclude anybody, but we can collaborate, we can work together, we can build a stronger community center if we build it with the community, not for the community. And so I encourage you to think about that moving forward. And I want to thank Mr. Holmes for his comments about including everybody in this, because I think that was very pertinent. Also, I'd like to direct everybody's attention to the Gazette. Did you see it? Community activist receives Martin Luther King Jr. Award. Congratulations, Mr. Vereen. Would it be inappropriate for me to designate, we received a grant for books written by the Stanford University's Professor Lerone Martin on the childhood, which is what we're talking about, of Martin Luther King, and how his childhood created the icon that we know as the legendary King. Would it be inappropriate for me to provide books for the council? That'd be considered inappropriate.
We don't pay for it.
We are donating books to schools, libraries, churches, and groups that I would be very, very proud to be able
I think we could be on
to provide books for council.
They would just remain public property.
Public property, a great learning experience. I read the book, it's a fantastic book. And Dr. Martin handles all the letters from Dr. Martin Luther King at Stanford University, and he was the keynote speaker at Mr. Vereen's ceremony.
Yes.
So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, I'll sign it after. My name's Elizabeth Ferguson, 15 Carson Road. And I'd like to say, I think it is so important that we're thinking about our children and youth. For my day job, I work at the Lawrenceville School and I'm the director of community service. And for many, many years, I drove a bus bringing our students to the community center or students from the community center to our campus. So I'm very familiar in the center that way for my work. I would say also I'm on the board of the Lawrence Township Community Foundation, which helps support the event and give you guys books. And there's oftentimes when we're saying, where can we have our awards celebrations, and we are donating to our local nonprofits. I think the community center is a great place for that. But personally, one of the most impactful, I would say, moments for me at the community center was we used to have, and perhaps it was somewhere else this past Thanksgiving, but we'd have an interfaith service during the week of Thanksgiving. And as a person of faith, and as someone who cares about people of other faiths as well, I thought it was a very important time for us to come together as a community to share our gratitude for what we have, the blessings that we have, and for this community. And it's rare that we're able to come together, I would say, represent the diversity of our community. But often these services are really important. And so I just want to say I was really grateful for the community center to be available for those types of events as well. So as an adult, I look forward to the community center being opened for all people.
Welcome. Thank you. My name is Jeremy Ryan. I live at 2 Joe Lane. And I just wanted to remind council something that I found particularly potent in the findings from the task force and included in that report. As you're considering the framing of the RFP, I think one of the things that I've heard everyone talk about tonight is how the space should be supportive of the youth of our township and of the entire community. And that's important. How do you do that? I think you do that by putting forth an RFP that provides continuous solicitation of input from the community. So it's not just about finding someone who can fulfill the RFP and be the administrator of that facility, but it's finding and calibrating the mechanism of which the community will, in an ongoing fashion, have input into the programming of that facility. And then by doing that, I believe that the administrator will be able to better manage expectations, communicate transparently, and also solicit input for ongoing programming. It's just so important to get it right, not just at launch, but in an ongoing fashion. So I hope that you'll think about those recommendations as you work through the RFP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Welcome.
My name's Gary Mackinoff. I represent Anchors Crossing Village, large nonprofit housing, Inc. As most of you know, probably all of you know, large nonprofit housing, Inc. has been providing quality, affordable housing here to hundreds and hundreds of township families for more than 50 years. Pretty good track record. I wanted to reiterate on behalf of large nonprofit housing, Inc. that they fully support the task force plan, and not necessarily with every specific, but with regard to the general concept. And the concept has been stated a lot better than I can state it, in that what they're looking for is a community to have voice in the operation and the programming for the center. It's fully recognized the township owns the property. The township's going to be ultimately in control of the property. What they're looking for is an ongoing voice, as the last gentleman mentioned. Over time, the community can not only have an ongoing voice and suggestions of what could happen there, should happen there, but perhaps even more importantly, the resources that these community groups can bring to the center. And I think one very poignant example, just one, there's a lot more of them that other folks can come up with, is that over the years, large nonprofit housing, Inc., and Every Child Valued, and the public schools and other organizations in the township have run programs for youth there, after-school programs, preschool programs, et cetera. Right before the center was shut down, there was a program for kids in the intermediate school for after-school programs. Those kids haven't had that program. And once again, it's not just for the kids at Edwards Crossing, it's for people throughout the township. Everybody recognizes the township facility, it's for everybody in the township. And that through involving those community groups in a meaningful way, that this could be a really revitalized, beautiful center, which represents the township in a wonderful way, integrating different parts of the community into the center for different resources. And in the interest of monetary considerations, I think by involving some of these community groups, such as Lawrence Nonprofit Housing Inc., and Every Child Valued, public school system, the township doesn't have to provide every day, all the time supervision. They can find ways to lease out the property, to involve the community groups in the property in a way that will be meaningful and doesn't cost the township more money to have full-time staff at the center. So we support it. I understand the frustration with the folks from the community. It's been a long time. It's been 2 years since it's closed. And I think there's 3 R's that everybody could agree upon. I haven't heard any opposition for it. And that the center should be repaired, it should be reopened, revitalized. And I think everybody's anxious to hear what the Township Council has to say about what can be done to help move that in that direction. Thank you.
Hello, Lisa Austin, 49 Albemarle Road. So much to say, but first of all, I'm a prodigy of the Edwards Crossing community, the neighborhood center. Ever since I was a child, starting, I think Mr. Biddle was my first, if those who remember Mr. Biddle. He was the first Black Santa Claus I saw. We had Christmas, we had games. I mean, it was a place to come. I mean, I think I was there more than I was at my house. It was such an amazing place, amazing atmosphere. My best friend, we've known each other since, I don't know, 3, 4, forever. And just looking out, Mr. Marine, my neighbor, Mr. Ganges, he doesn't know, I was just on the phone with Brian, his son. Chantel, all my neighbors, I see them, and it's Mr. Woolley was my intermediate. And I hear what people are saying, the inclusivity, I hear that, it's open to everyone, and it absolutely is. But we really still have to take a look at where the climate of where this country is with Black people. And Lawrence has I have a 7-year-old now who attends the same elementary school I went to, Lawrence Elementary, and she comes home, she's very bright. She said, Grandma, I don't feel celebrated. If I thank God for you, Mr. Woolley, because you celebrated me in school, but everyone didn't. Everyone wasn't like you, and they still not like that. I want to make sure that the kids, yes, it should be open to everyone, but I don't want it to become whitewashed. I'm sorry. It needs to be for everyone, and we cannot forget the community that started it. We cannot forget the kids who are disenfranchised, even in schools today. And we don't think about it because, I remember sitting on a board meeting one day, and I remember, I won't say her name, but she had blonde hair and blue eyes. And she could not understand for the life of us why we wanted Black teachers, why our kids needed to see representation. Now, mind you, I went to Lawrence Elementary School all the way to Lawrence High. I am a prodigy of this town. My best friends were Black and white. My daughters were actually named after my oldest best friend. So I am truly I love diversity. I'm a director in pharmaceutical. My team looks like everyone, and I celebrate them all. No one gets different treatment. But what I'm saying here, we cannot forget the kids are being disenfranchised. Books, thank you for the books, but people don't even want books to be read anymore. I don't want that to be the story here. I hear when everyone, people are coming back and saying, oh, well, we want it for everyone. I know what that means. Takeover. And we cannot have that. I do not want these kids to feel unwanted. I don't want it to be a price for everything. When I came, it was free. I remember Patricia teaching us ballet. She was only a few years older than me. She was a beautiful ballerina. We didn't know anything about it, but she was teaching us this. And this is what we want. We want to use community, and we do need diversity. We do need to show our president that we can all get along. But we just can't forget about for me, the purpose of the Eggers Crossing community. That is my son.
Sylvia Cobos, 1547 Ohio Avenue. And thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Black community for still fighting to have for that center that they built. And I think it's very important to recognize who built that center. And even though now we're trying to make sure that the center is for everybody, we have to recognize who built it and who created it and who fought for it for all these years. And now they're back fighting. And I think it's very important for the rest of us to join in the fight. Whether we knew that it existed, like I did not know it existed, but I've been in the township for only 15 years. So I didn't have to know that it existed since Homefront was in charge of it for so many years. And I wish I knew that it existed, because my daughter could have been there and enjoyed the services, but we didn't know. We just didn't investigate for all the resources. What's important, I think, especially in this climate now, is to make sure that our governing bodies, whether it's the township, county, state, federal, that we run our governing bodies not as a business, but as a resource for people who need a leg up or want to participate in community. And I think the community building is very important right now. And we don't want all of us to go to our own camp now, especially now. We need to stick together. Thank you. We need to stick together as a community, no matter where we came from and how we got to this country, or how our ancestry got to this country. We need to stick together, and I think community center would be a perfect place for that. We're later this week, we're having a special planning board meeting for master plan. We're meeting in a senior center. If we have community center already open, that would be a perfect place for that. Because master plan is, we're going to be building, talking about what we want in this township plan for the next 10 years. And we don't have a place right now like that, where community can just meet and discuss these things. We already heard from the senior center folks who belong there, who attend the senior center. They want senior center to be senior center. They don't want basketball and they don't want all of that. Because we heard that loud and clear here at the public hearings for Township Council, right? So I think it's important to remember that yes, money is very important in running the township. We have a lot of needs to fulfill in the township. It's great that we're hiring new police officers, new firefighters. I have to say that our police department looks great now with the diversity, not only gender, but also racial. And it's all important, but it's also important that while it's great to have a wonderful police department, I think to be using that police department only for tickets on Route 1, we need our youth to have places so they don't run after wild bunnies. And where they can learn that that's not what you're supposed to do. So please consider in your discussions to keep that as a community center and have it open to the community and involve us later on in the programs as well. Thank you very much.
All right, we got one over there. You're next over there, all right? Welcome.
I'm not a public speaker,
It's
so
all
just
good.
bear with me. My name is Tina Johnson, 5711 Town Court South, Lawrenceville. I grew up in Lawrence Township, born and raised. I graduated from Lawrence High. When I got old enough to leave my home, there was no apartments in Lawrence Township, just homes that everybody owned. And then the village came, but by the time it got there, the list was so long that you couldn't get it, so you had to leave out of Lawrence Township. So I thank Mr. Marine for all the things that he's done to make that Lawrence Neighborhood Village present in Lawrence Township. So thinking of community, and what I'm hearing is community versus community center versus recreation center. Recreation center is very nice. It gives people a place to go, a place to be. But when you talk about community center, that's different. It's a big difference. I did come back after a couple of years and I was able to live in the village. When I got into that village, I went to go get my car fixed one day. Somebody came out of there and they said, hey, how you doing, Mom? I'm looking at this gentleman like, I'm doing okay. It's like, oh, you such and such Mom, right? And I said, no. But you such and such Mom, right? I said, no. He said, but you're from the village, right? I said, yeah. He said, I know you, so that's what makes a community, that wherever you go, you look out for one another. Once they said that to me, I felt safe, it's like myself. So I'm just trying to express how communities work, They look out for one another as far as, are you good, making sure you get everything that you need. And so when I look at a visionary of the new Lawrence, let me just say, my childhood with the Lawrence Neighborhood Center was trips with Sylvia at the Lawrence Neighborhood Center, Christmas parties at the neighborhood center with Mr. Biddle. And it just goes on and on. And there wasn't just all Black children there. There was all races at these parties. And there was all races at the different things that they had there, resources that they had there. So even when I look ahead to see what Lawrence Neighborhood Center could possibly be now, I see so many resources that can come out of there. Homefront is a resource that you source out, they can still come in, But the way things are going today, my present job is I work for, I work for the government. I work for Mercer County Board of State. I just don't know, I'm not representing them. Okay, so I work for Mercer County Board of Social Services. And there's a lot of changes coming down. That's going to affect a lot of different people, especially in Medicaid when we're talking about our health. And if each different areas doesn't have a center that they can call upon for resources, the people are not going to know where to go. And you're talking about somebody in your driveway or whatever, you need somewhere for people to get resources from. So that center is in a location where everybody already knows that they have resources there. That's what they're known for. And I still think that that's a place that can be useful for resources, for tutoring like they had before, for everything that they had before, just reinstated in that manner. And so, yes, I'm interested in knowing what the council has planned for the building, because I understand that, you're also trying to buy some property, the city is trying to buy some property that's right next door to the neighborhood center. So I would be interested in knowing what, they're doing.
Thank you. Ms. Dickerson.
Thank you.
Good.
Good evening, my name is Gail Dickerson,
Welcome.
100 Forest Ridge Drive, apartment 410, Northville, New Jersey, 01648. I have been a resident of Lawrence Township just about all my life. I was born and raised here, went to school here. My children, my grandchildren went to school here. My mother, my grandmother, grandfather, they lived in Lawrence Township all their life. My grandmother was a first African-American at some of the schools at the town hall. My mother was first African-American working in the School of Special Education for children as aide. My grandfather also was a resident of Lawrence, and he was first African-American special police officer, crossing guard, helping the children to make sure they were safe. My mother cared dearly about the children all the time. The children came first, even in our family. It didn't matter what color you were or they were. She always looked after the children because she felt the kids came first. And that's the way it was in our family. The children came first. She made sure they were protected. And my brother went to Lawrence, Eldridge Park, Lawrence Junior High, but he went to Trenton High. And my sister went to Trenton High. I was lucky, I didn't want to go to Trenton High, but I went to Lawrence High. I was the second graduating class, in the second graduating class. My older brother, Douglas R. Dickerson, Lance Corporal, was in the Marines where he was, passed away. He got fighting for his country that he loved so dearly. He was only 18. He was a good guy. He never gave my parents any problem. He walked, he ran track, he was supportive. He felt he went into service because his friends went in, and he wanted to do the buddy plan. Most of his friends went in the Army and into the Air Force. He went into the Marines. He was only 18. He never came back. We never had closure upon that until 30 years later. That's a long time. And I just think about today, what would it be like if he were here today? Because he did love Lawrence Township. He had a lot of friends. Everybody loved Dougie Fish. He ran track. He was a good guy. And the center was dedicated in memory of Douglas Dickerson, Lance Corporal Dickerson. And he had two nephews that were in the military, Eric Dickerson and Jared Dickerson. Jared spent 10 years, Eric spent 9. And they were thankful, they loved it. And they got out of service. Jared never came back to New Jersey. Eric, he lives in Atlanta. He came back to New Jersey, but he resides in Atlanta, but he loved it. And my grandmother, they were here to support everyone. I know you knew Louise Underwood, Moses Underwood, okay? And they made the township like they watched over everyone. The children they see them doing something wrong, they're like, I'm gonna tell your mother, you know, you're not supposed to do that, okay? If we did something wrong, they would let us know, girl, you're not supposed to be out here, okay? And we listened to them. Mr. Marine, I lived in a village for 24 years, I raised my children there, I had 2 children, and he was very supportive, I was happy. I lived with my parents at 24 years old, and then I put in the application to live there. And I got the support, and I moved there, and I liked it. I lived there 24 years. And it was a great area, a great community. The community center was a good place for my kids to go, to play basketball. If they had a function, it was right there, that the children would be able to be there. Older people, they would be able to be there, and I thought that was a great thing. Mr. Holmes, Mr. Ganji, we all lived there, Austin. We're like family, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and still should be. But the way the world is going today, you don't know who's who. You know who's who, but you know what? It's supposed to be like this, you know? You don't know. So the community center will be a better place and a good place for people in Lawrence Township, no matter what race, what color your skin, we all got children. We should come together and make it for the betterment of the younger people and the older people that live in Lawrence to help support, to have it built. You know, when it first started out, it was just a little building. Then they got together and made it bigger. And that's what it's supposed to be, you know, to help people in the center, in the community. If everyone could come together, it could be a better place. Thank you.
Nah, you're good. Come on.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to come up?
I'll do it.
Eric Barash, Mercer County resident since August 1965. How does one, well, first of all, how many did K through 12 like I did between 1966 and 1980? And then I came back from Chambersburg with my daughter to make sure she did 2 through 12, same schools, different grade structure. Then Y2K, you could see it. You could see everything that was done in this town, with all the solar panels going on in the schools. Your taxes were represented. Then you get to like 2021 to 2026. I thought I was gonna live behind the Lawrence Shopping Center, the grand opening of Lidl. I interviewed with the CEO from Germany because I thought limo was dead, and it was. I thought I was gonna be at 3131 Princeton Pike. I thought I was gonna be, well, I thought I was gonna be, we were talking about it in 24, 25. I remember when that opened down there. I played Little League and Minor League at those ball fields in 1972 as a 10-year-old. You know, it just, I don't wanna blame the pandemic. I don't wanna get into any of that. It just seems like when I moved back, Easter Passover time was 1998, it was a different town. And then you go through Y2K and you hit 2021 to 2026, and it just seems like it was a stall. And I was very happy when I was here January 1, because I missed the last one 2 years earlier, because I didn't know what was going on with my job. They had me in limbo over New Year's. I only got to the bonfire. I didn't get here for the January 1 of 2024, so I'm glad to have you back. I really am. And I read this as something being more of a master plan thing for some reason. Maybe I'm confusing.
That's Thursday.
That's Thursday? Okay. Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness. life's not easy. It never is. But it's good to see everybody stand up like this. And I said it at one of the last meetings when everybody had gotten up and you had made a comment, because everybody was leaving early. They only come for what they want. It's people that stay to the end that know what's going on. So I want to thank you.
Welcome.
My name is Maxine Frank. I live at 335 Johnson Avenue, Lawrence, New Jersey, 08648-3419. I've been here for 55 years, coming next month, well, next week, right on June 17th, my birthday. But the center's been a lot for me and my family because we grew up a lot. I learned how to do some modeling there. It kept us out of trouble. That was the big thing. You have so many kids right now who are out and about doing different devilish things and we don't even know. Where's your child at? When we were growing up, everybody, like Ms. Dickerson said, they knew if you got in trouble by your parent, well, if my parents seen her, I seen her and did something. My parents already going to beat me before I get back. Good shack stop. We were a good stop. We was always busy all the time with everything else. And that's the biggest thing with the center. When they shut it down, it's like, what do the kids do? They're just idle. You know what I mean? They're at the park and stuff like that, doing little disruptive things. It's not as big. You don't see it in, per se, the paper. But we know, you have some little vagabonds and stuff out there. But you have to keep them busy. That's the biggest thing. The mind has to stay busy for them to grow. They have a great system out there and everything else. But like I said, we need that center. We definitely do, especially in our communities. Because if the mind is idle, it's a devil's playground. You know what I mean? So they can do anything in here just to get us back in order. Because the park, the kids still go to that park, which personally for me, that park I don't like because it has those, my granddaughter, my grandson goes there. My granddaughter's only 4, my grandson's 10. Because of that tire mess, it gets all that blackness on their hands and everything else they put down. I don't know why that's there for toxicity or whatever, I don't know. But, we just need another community center and stuff like that because, again, if we don't go ahead and feed our youth, what are we going to have at the end? I just want to say that. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. David Spalding, 94 Baltimore Avenue, Lawrenceville, New Jersey.
Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. So, we've sat here now, we've heard from the community. Everybody's heard their story. And I just want to implore the council to listen to what everybody said. You've had the facts, you now did the task force. You have an opportunity to make one of the biggest changes for the good of this community that we've seen in a long time. And I'm hoping that's going to happen. And it would be a shame for this council, this governing body, to make decisions that aren't going to help the community. And so I just ask you to consider the facts. You listen to what people have said, and you do the right thing. This is all about doing the right thing. That's what you're governed to do. That's what you've taken an oath to do. And I'm hoping that you're going to do that and you're going to make our community proud. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle Spalding. I'm 94 Baltimore Avenue. That was my husband. I just want to make one comment. The neighborhood center, the community center was started by one group of people because that group of people was forgotten. So that group of people got together to fight for what the community needed. We've been fighting forever and we're still fighting. So please don't forget why we were there, why it was started, what we need to do, and what we need right now. We shouldn't have to fight for 50 years to continue to get what we need for our children and for this community. So please hear us, understand where we're coming from. We don't want to fight. We just want what we need, and we need it now. It should not take this long to do a task force, do an 80-some page, project from the task force, have discussion after discussion, community discussions to figure out what we need and what we want. You know what we need? The whole United Nations is here to talk about what we need. So let's move this thing forward, stop wasting time and just get it done. That's all I have to say.
Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak before I close it out? All right. Would it be improper to take a brief recess and allow everyone to have a drink of water, use the facilities and everything else? So let's take a 5-minute recess and we'll return at 7:20. All right?
So hard.
community. I really do. I hate to break up this community gathering right now.
Yeah, you gotta go next, you know what I mean?
Well, if we want to go see the next one, we gotta keep it rolling, right?
Okay, that's right, 8:30.
Oh, now you're putting time. All right. I will now make the official Board Township Council's back in session. I just want to start off by saying I really appreciate the candid conversations and comments that have occurred. I hope that you will listen to what we have to say. And I've spoken with my council colleagues, and we're going to open up after our discussion to having a brief second public comment area. I think it would be good for, after we discuss sort of what we'd like to see in the RFP, for you to say, hey, you completely misheard us, or we'd like to see, one extra thing. I think that would be great. I think it has been lost in some of the comments that part of this delay has been because the town originally thought that with Homefront leaving, that the recreation department was going to take over the building and use it as a recreation center. And the pushback and the emails and phone calls and everything else was heard loud and clear. I think Mayor Farmer at the time heard it loud and clear and moved us to a new place. And so we created a mayor's task force in December of 2024, I believe. We had a community conversation in May of 2025, so it's been a little over a year. And the report came out in September of 2025, so we still have a little ways to go. And since then, we've been dealing with some things and fire service, other things in the township. Sorry, we can't do all the things at once. And I understand the frustration with everyone that this building has been closed for quite some time. But we're here today not to delay, not to dismiss what has been said in the past, but to hear you for the final time so that it can inform our conversation tonight and it can inform the RFP so that we can get to the right place. Because as Mr. Spalding said, this is a very important decision that this council has to make, and we want to get it right. I'm sorry if it's taken longer than you expect, but at the same time, it would have been really easy, based on the memo of July 31st, 2024 from Nancy Bergen to Mr. Nowinski. Her timeline was that we would be open in last summer. That we Rec could have moved in, done a few things, and then sort of rolled out the piece. So it's not about getting it back open quickly, it's about doing the right thing. So just want to say that. And then the other piece is that tonight we're going to discuss what we want to add sort of into the final RFP, not the sort of nitty gritty that Mr. Sipek and Mr. Nowinski work on that keep us legal, keep us protected as a community, but we're going to talk about sort of the framework, what we like to see in there based on what the task force created. I have a printout of it right here that I want to talk about. And this is about us putting together an RFP to find a nonprofit partner for the center. It's not about rec versus the community. It's not about that stuff. We've heard that stuff loud and clear from the community conversation in May of 2025. So with that, I'm going to open it up to my council colleagues to have a conversation. So I don't know if you want to start off, Councilman, because you were on the mayor's task force, and maybe go to Ms. Giglio next because you were on the task force as well. And we could start there about.
Well, first I want to thank the community for being here this evening. I am a direct result of this community. This is my I grew up in Eggers Crossing, so this is very, very important, very, it's touched my life. I've lived here in Lawrence Township for over 50 years, and I've seen tremendous amount of change, and I know what that community center did for so many young people, older residents as well. And whereas I do not envision going or revisiting the past, but more so looking to the future and how we can re-envision re-envision the future for that center. And again, hearing the comments tonight and of other nights, in addition to the task force extensive report, I think it is very important. And I'm so delighted to be here with my fellow council members to have this discussion tonight. So I'll stay there.
Okay, I'm very excited to be here today to discuss the final details of the RFP for the community center. The town council has been engaging with the community over the past year and gathering ideas and public comment for the future of the community center. The administrative staff, along with council, have been working on drafting the RFP for the center based on many ideas and comments that the public have shared with us. This meeting is another and last chance for the public to weigh in on the future of the center and to share the vision that each community member holds for what the center could be. As the newest council member, I heard many of these comments made in public during council meetings, but I was also on the community center task force, and I was consistently impressed with the care and passion that each member showed for the future of such a historic and important building in our town. I also served on the Recreation Advisory Committee for the past 8 years. The Recreation Committee has heard for all of those years about a need for an indoor facility for expanded recreational programming. Lawrence has and continues to struggle to accommodate the recreational needs of its residents. Lawrence Township does not have an indoor central location for recreational programming, making it difficult to offer year-round recreational programs consistently for children and adults. Lawrence has 3 dedicated municipal employees who work extremely hard every day to offer programs, activities, townwide community events, and senior programming, all while not having a facility to hold those programs indoors in case of inclement weather, except for the senior center. Therefore, the town must use a patchwork of outdoor facilities and various school buildings in order to hold all of those recreational programs. I said all of this during a public meeting in May. When I was put on the task force, I initially was in favor of the rec department moving in there and making it a recreational facility. I have since changed that based on the public comments from here, from the task force, that more comments were needed. It should not have just been, let's move in and move along. And I think that the past 2 years of comments have been amazing and super important. And now that I'm up here, I really appreciate this meeting as well. This was a big decision that the council and township administrators need to make, but it should not be made in a bubble and without public comment. This meeting is meant to gather as many voices as possible before council takes the final step. This process has been slow, but we are working on it and we are listening.
I respect your honesty. Thank you very much.
I don't have a statement in as much as my opinions on the community center. I work in state procurement, so I come at this from a fact-based, unbiased procurement standpoint, and that's where the mayor's task force and tonight has been invaluable in getting. I know that it takes a long time. I work in public procurement. I know that it takes a long time, and that's unfortunate. But I'm really grateful for tonight because it's actually given me some more perspective, and I have additional questions instead of the statement. First, I think it's important to clarify how this process will work because not everybody knows the timeline and what's going to happen. So we put an RFP out for the public to view, for organizations to view online, and they will submit proposals to us.
based on the guidelines of the RFP. There's going to be a question and answer process after that RFP is put out. So my first question is, Manager Nowinski, are we going to have, what is the Q&A process going to look like in terms of public input?
In terms of what?
Are we going to, I know generally the questions from bidders will be procedural, maybe it's something about the history. If there is anything of note that the public may want to weigh in on, are we gonna have an opportunity for that to be public?
I have to be candid with you, and I'll defer to Mr. Sypek with regard to the legal aspects of public bidding and the responses to requests for proposals. I don't know of a circumstance where in the middle of after receiving proposals, there is an engagement to the public for a question and answer. I don't think that that's something that I've ever seen before, and I don't think it would lead us to run afoul of public bidding laws. So I would say to you that there is going to most likely be a committee that will review the proposals based upon the criteria that you set within the proposals. And that's the kind of feedback that will occur in terms of rating what we receive and how it best meets your ideas of what you want to see there.
Sure, right, and so then that's even long after the Q&A process, right? So how long, how long do we anticipate taking to answer any questions we might get from potential bidders?
There's always there's a period of time where questions could be asked by bidders, right? But that they would go to the administration. There'd be very specific things, lease terms, things like that. They may want an opportunity to go into the building. And so there's going to be a period of time where any prospective organization that may respond to the public, the request for proposals, may want to walk through the facility. See, so that's a process that I would think has to be at least 2 months long, because these organizations have to meet with their board of directors. There's got to be a thoughtful decision-making process involved before they prepare that proposal for the township to consider.
Okay. And then once we receive proposals, once our final bid opening date occurs, I know you sort of hinted at this, but just for the public's sake, are they going to have an opportunity to see these proposals? Like, are we going to share anything with regards to the proposals?
With the public? I don't have an answer to that. I don't think that that's a part of that RFP process.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. I'm envisioning in my mind similar to how we did with the fire study, that sort of RFP process. There was a committee and then we voted. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
From the process, it's similar to something that we've recently done as a.
That's how RFPs are usually done.
Right, so we should expect something similar to that. It was, the RFP was put out, public, people bid, the committee reviewed the bids, presented to council those bids, narrowed it down to 3, and then we voted. Is that too simplified?
Yeah, that's correct, and this will all be done in public with full discussion in front of the public residents. And that is the exact process we did for the fire study. That's correct.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, because that was gonna be something I asked, and I think that's good for the public to understand that this is really the moment to sort of weigh in, influence council in terms of what the criteria might be. And then from there, we're gonna take it, put together an RFP with your help, guidance, issue it, do the 2 months, and then have the bids open, and we'll determine who meets the criteria.
It'll be clearly set out in the RFP when question and answer period. If, as Mr. Nowinski indicated, if someone wants to take a tour of the building, and I'm sure that will probably occur, but it'll be clearly set out in the RFP. So full transparency as to what's happening with regard to any submittals.
Mr. Knack, do you want to say anything as a sort of an opening statement or comment or anything?
As being liaison to recreation, when this first came out, I felt recreation should be over there and they would be able to help the community center to move forward. But over the time, with the meetings that you have had, and the residents coming out speaking, their concerns and what you are looking for, recreation don't belong there. We gotta see how we gotta handle to get that community center up and running. And yes, it is slow. I've been on council 17 years. I have not seen nothing move fast in 17 years.
It tells you something, doesn't it?
Not yet.
Mr. Connect. Ms. Santos, I think you want to add a few more things.
Sorry, I have
No.
a few more
No worries.
questions. Do we know at this time who will make up the evaluation committee?
No, that's something that you
That we'll decide.
could
Correct.
select.
Okay, I have two comments for the RFP based on the feedback tonight. I think the programmatic benefit and the facility use plan criteria should be weighted heavier than what is in the draft currently, and I can email you about that separately, but, and also, is there a way I think we can allow for community feedback within the general requirements portion of the RFP, make it a requirement that the contractor has to attend meetings or, accept feedback from the community about its
About what? About.
performance, has to attend meetings as requested by the manager or the council. Is there a way we could work that in?
So I think it's important that I make this comment just because if Nancy Bergen is listening to this in this live feed, she's probably saying, why isn't somebody saying what was originally proposed? So I'm going to say, the idea of placing the recreational offices at that location was made for operational reasons in terms of figuring out a place for public works and finding a place for recreation. And it seemed like it was a good opportunity to do that, but the recreation offices and that center was always supposed to be a hub program. When you were Mayor Farmer, we had these discussions that it was supposed to always be open to nonprofit organizations to conduct programs that were educational programs, vocational programs, arts and culture programs, and to have nonprofit organizations use it and other organizations use that building. It was just a place for the recreational officers to be located and from time to time use the facility during the times that potentially a recreational program could occur there. So it was always supposed to be the hub for programming that was based on education, culture, and social programming, the food pantry continuing and things like that. So it's really important for everybody to understand this was not a recreation office taking it over and nothing else was going to be there. That was not it. Back in March of 2024, it was very clear in the press release that the intention was to move the offices over there, but this was to be a hub for all the programmings that was already there, conducted by Homefront and other organizations.
Can I just pause for this?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the discussion by the task force was the concern that recreation, which was township employees and nonprofits not coexisting in the building at the same time. So that sounds
Permanent, yeah, you're absolutely right. So this is completely a policy decision. I had my voice, I made a recommendation. You listened to the public, you said, no, we're not gonna do recreation offices there. So now we shifted that we're looking for a primary a nonprofit organization to occupy that, but still have all that other programming there by other organizations as well. So that's the shift that we had. That recreation's out. They're not gonna find a space at the senior center to just locate their offices, not to have youth things there. So now we're operating under the assumption that we want this to be fully occupied by nonprofit organizations to run the types of programs that have in the past and also to improve in the future to get more of the community to use that building.
But it does seem to differ just slightly, because because this was a point of contention, this was a point of discussion very strongly by the task force, that we were never opposed to recreation. We think recreation, and Nancy Bergen has done outstanding work in our community. We never said we did not want recreation to be there with us. We just said we want the community to have access to that building as well. It wasn't just, it was never for the task force, either or. But we were informed by you that there was a conflict to have township employees and nonprofits operating in the same building.
Correct. That's absolutely 100% correct.
But we discovered that legally that is not an issue. Legally, in other municipalities in New Jersey, I don't know throughout the country, but there are examples, I think even here in Mercer County, where nonprofits and entities of municipalities or governing bodies do exist or have programming together.
Programming at that facility is much different than having home offices of organizations present, working side by side or office to office with township employees. It's a dynamic that I did not think was appropriate for our township employees.
But it wasn't illegal.
Mr. Sypak, can you help us move this?
The word, it's
this
not,
back and forth?
illegal isn't the,
Yeah,
this is the
let's-
conversation,
yeah,
Mayor.
yeah.
We're having a conversation.
Well, I'd love to have Mr. Sypak weigh in on the
I'm
legality
saying,
of
the
this.
term isn't illegal. It's
Well,
whether
that's why I wanted to ask. Mr.
whether it's
Sypak.
appropriate for our municipal employees to have that dynamic.
Yeah, there's no statutory
Yeah.
prohibition, I'm aware of.
That's, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna jump in. So, on the task force for a year, it was very clear that the building wanted to be all things for all people. Right, that there were people who thought it should be for everyone, there were people, as we heard tonight, that it should be for the community who originally, built the building, and the result of the task force ends up being, as you know, very toothless, because we were trying to make it for everyone and trying to make it touch everything. And so I think having shifted it now here towards the nonprofit route with this RFP, we're hopefully getting it at least into a direction that can answer some of those desires that people have said for the last year.
But I just want to go on record that we never said we did not want, and by we, I mean the task force, and I think I hear tonight from the community that it was never that we do not want recreation to be a part of this center.
Yeah, no, and it was never understood that way. It was never understood that way. We want, it's a township building and we do want recreation programs to happen there.
Mr. Nguyen, I just want to share, because that is what the feeling was in the community. So, and that's kind of what we're hearing tonight.
Excuse me, Mayor Bowser, how are you gonna, what's gonna be the process when you guys are having the conversation you're having, when the public can actually comment while you're speaking on topics? How are you gonna handle that, or is there a way you wanna handle that?
My thought was that there would be comments afterwards, so that council could have a conversation, and then the community could just say whether you.
I don't know whether you raise your hand or you, now.
No,
I have to be, I'll be the bad guy. It's fine.
All right.
Because I want the process to be lawful.
Yes.
Right, because we discussed this.
Yes.
Right? We can't have members of the community commenting when you guys are trying to craft the RFP, because it will ultimately create the perception of favoritism in the public bidding process. Should an organization be unsuccessful in the proposal, right, not get it, they could have a claim that you were all influenced by what was said there, and that was what was incorporated into the RFP document.
Yeah, they're gonna.
This is not a normal situation.
I know.
Not something that happens all the time in
This
government.
is us trying to be open
I
and
don't know why you're
transparent.
making
And
that
so,
comment.
order, please.
Sorry for being rude, but this is.
No,
Yeah.
I love you, Mr. Holmes, but.
You guys are there.
You know what?
Can I just make a comment? You have to allow us to have an opportunity to have a discussion. It took a while for us to get to this point where the five of us can be together and have an open discussion about this topic. We've incorporated in our agenda an opportunity for you to comment after we've had an opportunity to have our discussion. So as Mayor Bobbitt has said, we're trying to be transparent, right? We're trying to allow you to see what the discussion and the conversation is, okay? So if you could be respectful of that process, we don't get to do this often, so.
I will add that I know some people are upset about the way this conversation is going, the way this meeting is going tonight. But I could state very clearly that the opposite could have been, we could have just come up with an RFP on our own, with no conversation, without this meeting tonight. We could have voted on it as a resolution at our next meeting. No public comment needed. You could have said whatever you wanted, but that RFP would have been in the agenda, unmodifiable, done and dusted. This is our attempt to hear you one last time. And I appreciate all the comments. Now, I heard a little tut-tutting from the audience about whether this was for the Eggers Crossing community. I heard about that this is always about race. Now, let's be clear about that, right? I hear that. I understand it. I understand the legacy and the history of this community center and what it means to those who grew up in Eggers Crossing and the impact it had on their lives, a transformational impact, a lifelong legacy, right? I heard friends for nearly 50 years. That's incredible. That is community. That's amazing. We're trying to figure out what the next step is. And to sort of have people yell from the audience while we're trying to have a conversation, it's disappointing, honestly, because we're trying to do the right thing by all of you and by the whole community. And you can shake your head, Mr. Holmes, but I don't know any other way to figure out this very tricky situation we're in, right? It's tricky if you think about 33,000 people in this community, from Warren Square Village to Eggers Crossing, from Pretty Brook down to Spruce Street, right? We're a big, diverse community of 33,000 people. And I'll tell you, I'll just hope, here, I'm gonna try to reset myself and hopefully reset this meeting by reading the mission recommendation from the task force, the mission statement recommendations from the task force, and the vision statement from the task force. This is what the mayor's task force came up with. Now, if you got a problem with what the task force brought up, then you got a problem with the whole process at this point. And we're way too beyond to hem and haw about what the task force came up with. So let me read it. Mission vision recommendation. We recommend that whatever governing body council determines to govern the center, create a mission vision statements that encompass the feedback included in this report. Mission statement recommendation. The Lawrence Township Community Center is a vibrant, inclusive hub where all residents are empowered to connect, thrive, and grow, rooted in the legacy of serving socioeconomically disadvantaged communities. The center fosters equity, learning, recreation, and well-being through accessible programs and services. By encouraging mutual support, collaboration, and shared purpose, we aim to enrich lives and build a stronger, more connected Lawrence Township. Vision statement recommendation. The Lawrence Township Community Center will be a welcoming community government center that unites residents of all ages, backgrounds, and neighborhoods across Lawrence Township. Through dynamic programs, shared stories, collaborative leadership, the center will be a cornerstone of civic engagement, cultural celebration, lifelong learning, and collective care where diversity is celebrated and everyone has the opportunity to belong, contribute, and flourish. That's what we're trying to work towards here. That's what the five of us up here with the manager and Mr. Sypek are trying to do. And we're trying to do it in a legal and respectful way. And Mr. Sypek, I heard you talking with, if I'm overstepping, let me know right now so I don't get us into trouble.
No.
But that's where we are right now. I'm sorry. We're trying to do the right thing for this community. We really are. And it's a challenge.
Mr. Mayor,
It's a challenge.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something?
I'm gonna defer to the attorney on this, whether you can speak now or not.
Well, it's up to council if they want to
Council?
comment. I mean, I think this is really council's time.
All right, Mr. Ray, come on up to the dais.
I think it's important I say something at this point. Because this center has always been open to Lawrence Township residents. We've never said that it was just for Eggers Crossing. We've always worked that center as a community building for all of Lawrence Township, and that's the way we want it to be. We've never, it's in the minds of folks outside of Eggers Crossing that it was a black thing, that it was an Eggers Crossing facility. It wasn't our thing, it was the people on the outside who came up with this mentality, not us. We've always been open to Lawrence Township residents, and we've always served them. And I think that's, you know, I don't like to hear that people say that it's an Eggers Crossing thing, or, that's not from us. That's from folks from outside of Eggers Crossing.
Then I misheard some of the comments this evening.
Can I make one other comment, please?
I'll defer to council on this one. Come on, Mr. Holmes.
All right, to the celebrated council and respectful members of the council, I'm gonna say one more thing. The things that you're talking about putting in RFP were things that were done without an RFP years ago. We had two former directors of that building sitting in this room tonight who were able to facilitate those kind of programs that you're talking about years ago with no exclusion from anybody. You said I was shaking my head. Yes, I was shaking my head out of frustration because I think you're doing things that you don't have to do. These things were done with a nonprofit, without a nonprofit individual or organization before. These programs were done without anybody other than the executive director and a board of trustees to see that the building was operated in the proper manner. So I don't know what you're talking about, putting all this stuff in RFP. You don't have to do it.
Well, I would respectfully say that, as I saw in the task force report from the 1980s, when federal funding was minimized over, and thank you for your comments, but I will say that part of the change in the community center over time has been the taking away of federal funding from Johnson's Great Society programs.
Mm-hmm.
And during the Reagan years in the 80s, you well know that the community center had problems, right? That there were issues about who owned the building, who ran the building, how spending was out of whack with what the funding was, that the county wasn't passing through any more money. And then again later on, when we were just before Homefront, same thing. We couldn't physically continue to do what we were doing. We were spending too much money for what the services were provided, and so we used our community block grant money and partnered with Homefront at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we got to a place where Homefront, through their funding, and Mr. Nowinski, correct me if I'm wrong, but their funding sources wanted to know what communities they were serving and why they were in Lawrence, and they were serving more people outside of Lawrence than in Lawrence. And so that's precipitated a shift where we were thinking recreation, and now we're thinking how do we partner with another nonprofit to get there? Because the money, as we all know with the Trump administration, they're clawing back money left and right from the federal government, right? And so the times of the 1970s and 80s are not coming back in terms of federal funding to support these things. And so we're gonna look for partnerships with a nonprofit, look for synergies with others, but that's the reality right now. And that's why I say it's a difficult thing, because I understand the legacy of the center, the community of the center, Mr. Vereen has sent me multiple emails, and I've dug into it even deeper than he even knows about all those newsletters that came out in the 70s, all the amazing things that happened at the center, the federal credit union, the trips to Washington DC, all those things. Those are
All right, you're very elegant in your remark, just trying to facilitate and expedite this
That's what we're
process.
trying to do. That's what we're trying to do, Mr. Holmes, so thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to put on the record that with regard to the legality of an RFP and what we're doing tonight, the legislature has put a mechanism in with regard to leasing municipal property to a nonprofit. It's clearly defined by statute in the municipal lease disposition law and also local public contracts law, which is what we're doing tonight, and what we're doing in the RFP is a blend of satisfying those two statutes. So we have no choice but to follow the law, and that's what we're trying to do. And not only tonight, but what we've been trying to do in putting together the RFP. What happened, years ago, I'm certainly not privy to it, but moving forward, we have to go by these two particular statutes in leasing of any municipal property, not just Lawrence Township, anything over 500 municipalities in the state of New Jersey have to follow those laws.
Thank you. How are we doing, Council? Anything else we want to add?
Just, I'm just going to touch on the funding and the response. Mr. Nowinski, if you could speak to the responsibility of the township with regards to the building itself, improvements that need to be made. I know that we reached out to an architectural firm who gave us recommendations. So going forward in this process, responsibilities of those things, could you speak to that?
Well, okay, so we recently received a $500,000 grant from Representative Conway, and that money will be utilized. We're already in the process of the design phase for making the building ADA accessible in the front part, right? To make sure that all individuals can access the building from the front. This building is almost 50 years old. Individuals with disabilities at times had to go through the back of the building to gain access. Unacceptable. So we've also, in our budget a couple of years ago, encumbered $1 million for the improvements inside. When this RFP process is taking place and organizations are responding, that's going to be a part of the dialogue on what they would be willing to do or wanting to do inside that building for their programming, and what we'll be able to do to make sure that that building is maximized and in the shape that it should be and deserving of the people that use it. So we're completely invested in the fact that this is a township-owned building that requires major renovations, and we're committed to do that. But we're going to have to work hand in hand for the interior with whoever you all select as the successful bidder. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Another additional question, I guess this will be for the council as well. With regards to, I know we will need a committee to vote on the RFP or to have discussions to present to council. Do you have any recommendations on what that committee should be comprised of?
When you say committee, you're talking about reviewing proposals, right? I'll defer to Mr. Sypek with regard to that. We have committees, internal committees that review RFPs. We can certainly have that discussion, who is going to be a part of that review process. So usually like 4 or 5 initials.
No, go ahead.
I would say my initial thought is, and maybe there might be some conflict if people want to be involved, but I was thinking we would probably want to keep it at 2, correct? So that we don't have to have
2 council members.
2 council members.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
sorry, 2 council members, let me be explicit about that. So I think 2 council members and then a hybrid with probably you 2 as well as maybe some other
Yeah,
municipal.
we haven't
as well.
finalized, our thoughts on that, but
Certainly
yes,
discuss
it'd be a hybrid
Yeah.
of professionals.
Yeah, I was just hoping that there would be some council input as well.
Yes.
Anyone else want to go? Because I have a question. Would it be possible to add the, because I don't think it's in there right now for the RFP, would it be possible to add the mayor's task force as a, into it, just to give some flavor into what the community is looking at, so they can understand sort of.
I think it would be valuable for bidders to have that.
So, all right, so, this RFP was prepared to embrace
Yeah.
the mayor's task force,
Yes.
right, as much as possible. To include that could present, and I'll defer to Mr. Slayback with regard to this, if we specifically reference the mayor's task force recommendations, there are members of that task force that have used the building in the past and may want to use the building in the future. And for me, as an attorney looking at that, we could
That would
run
open us up
afoul
to.
of public bidding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say that we could take what you all agreed to be the best aspects of the mayor's task force that you would want to put in there without expressly representing verbatim what the mayor's task force.
I
See what I'm saying?
get that. Yeah, I mean, sort of like what I just said out loud about the sort of vision of it being inclusive, all of those pieces, that would be okay. But if we said, oh, and, A, B,
That would
C,
be problematic.
that,
But making it available as an attachment,
Well,
like
it's a
an
public-
appendix,
it's a
yeah,
public
it's a public
document.
document.
so if they wanted to, they could
Right, could be linked, provide a link to.
Yeah.
just keep that.
I would say any organization that is gonna take the time and
Right.
effort to make a response to this proposal will access all the documents they feel is necessary to make their proposal as strong as possible without us tying it in with the mayor's task force.
Mr. Mayor? Final thoughts before I open it up to.
I was just
get this
gonna-
right?
Just going back to timeline, because that is an issue that the community is expressed, and some of us on council who are just, ready for the next step, just to give what the thoughts are.
So I would. Our next council meeting is the 16th, correct?
So listen, the whole point of this special meeting was to have this discussion in here, so the document that will be released to the public with the agenda, because it's gonna be an action item to be voted on, we'll have the best opportunity for you all to vote yes or no, but yes, that gets us going. So,
And so with 2 months, that would put us around August to receive them back. And then probably the next meeting in the third Tuesday in September, we should be good to go. Does that
we
sound?
hope, we hope that.
I mean, without any hiccups, but like best case scenario, just so the public has an idea of what this might look like.
Yeah.
So September.
For the improvements, the renovations to the building, such as the frontage for ADA, will we be bidding that out as well, right?
Well, I mean, there are state contracts that may not have to bid that out. But it'll be a recommendation from our municipal engineer whether to bid out. Certainly not being done in-house, so it'll be some contract.
All right. You good? All right, I'm gonna open up for public comment. I'm gonna keep it to 2 minutes on this one, but or 3 minutes.
Mayor, I would ask that there not be repetitive comments.
Yes, I agree.
This is gonna be on next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say I feel a little better than I did when I first came in here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Means a lot. Anyone else? Now, this, Mr. Backmouth.
But I'm still gonna be watching you.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Now, you can't say the same thing. You can't be repetitive and say.
I'm just going to congratulate the board and the people in the audience. I think this has been a very impressive process. I think it's the council that's listened to the community. I haven't seen any real contrary or opposition to any of the ideas that are coming up. So I'm feeling very good about there's going to be good products that come out. One quick question for council, maybe it's just to inform bidders on this. I do represent nonprofits that are active in the area, including Lawrence Nonprofit Housing Inc. But is there plans and assessments done to give these nonprofits a better idea as to what needs to be done in the building?
Yeah,
And we
that's
mentioned that
yeah,
you're
gonna be a part of the
already.
RFP.
Yes, yeah, so Clark.
So we want the organizations, I'm sorry, we want the organization to be fully aware of what's involved, and we're gonna share all of that. Like we had the building assessed, evaluated in terms of what we think needs to be done, or what we know needs to be done, and a value, part of that is gonna be provided to the bidders. The diagrams of the floors, that's all gonna be provided. We're gonna open it up to the bidders on certain days to go through it together, so they know what's going on as well.
Great, sounds like the process is moving forward.
Anyone else? Well, thank you. I know this has been a challenge. We're trying our best.
So Mayor, may I? Sure.
All right, but I thought we were on a good note.
It is a positive note. Look, it just is. I just want to make sure that I continue to hear the feedback, Art and I, with regard to the document that you've been provided, the changes that you want to have. Send it individually to Art and I, because we don't want to run afoul of you all violating the Open Public Meetings Act. So, and then hopefully the document that we have that's going to be on the agenda is going to reflect all that you think is important. Because I know, I think you indicated the criteria you have. Let's hear that sooner rather than later internally, because it's just an adjustment of percentages, and we're going to weight each category. And just publicly, I would just want to say that this RFP, the basis of it is to provide, we want organizations that are provide community-focused programming and services. We want the bidder, the organization, to be open to working with other nonprofit organizations. We want them to be open to allowing the full use of this facility, day and night, for programs for the arts, culture, vocational, child education, teen education, adult education. It's the whole thing that the Mayor's Task Force envisioned. That's what we want to put in this document. And we want the organizations to embrace that, and they're gonna have to tell us, that's our plan too. So that's really.
And one last thing, just a housekeeping item, for the benefit of everyone. Our township, the clerk states that changes to the agenda should come to them by noon on Wednesday. Can we push that to Thursday, possibly, if we're still giving?
Don't do that to Nicole.
No, but, so I'll say this, if you can, start talking with Kevin now, before Wednesday at the very latest, so that we can go through the process and get something so the clerk's office isn't scrambling and putting together books for next week, so.
It'll be done on Wednesdays when we do the books.
Yeah, so.
May I have one public comment or question?
I close, come on up, Mr. Spalding.
Come on, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So I have a question is, after listening to, Mr. Nowinski, I want to make sure, so the next meeting, you're going to do a resolution to approve for the RFP to go out.
That's the plan. Yeah.
That's the process, right?
Yeah.
That would be it. So that next meeting is going to be when again?
Next Tuesday.
That's a short amount of time.
Well, the document's done, we're gonna do, we're.
That's why I'm
some
publicly-
changes.
So it's just gonna be the resolution, the document's not gonna be ready to go out for public bidding.
No, the document, we have a draft document that we've all been looking at and it's been reviewed.
I'll be clear, the notice to bidders is not, is it gonna go out?
It'll be after, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McCready, my guy. All right, with that, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you all.
From you, summarizing 2025, like final thoughts of 2025. Okay, so if you have questions, just give me a call. Your work is still there or not.
I couldn't get there. Of course I'm not welcome. Yeah, right. Annual meeting. And then I'm here, and then I took this meeting. We have like friends with these people. You can't do that.